Hello everyone, DonTheCrown here, and today I want to talk about my top tips for earning some currency in Torchlight, especially going from that time mark 7 kind of breakpoint, pushing up into time mark 8, because it's a little bit more difficult this season. They did bump the FE drop rates a little bit here, but it's just going to kind of like, still be difficult to farm up. Then my first recommendation is Pirates. So Pirates I think is incredibly good because if you just spend these top 15 points here, you're guaranteed to basically always have pirates in every map. And this left side here helps you get more memory scraps or memory threads. These are very important things here because of how they've reworked hero memories. In order to have your hero skills basically active, you must have a hero memory socketed in the corresponding slot. And having a better hero memory will provide you with quite a bit of power here. And everybody pretty much needs to have these hero memories in order to kind of like power up their character. And it's going to require quite a bit of materials. And you're obviously going to need the hero memories as well. So to kind of show you what I'm talking about here, we have an example of just a regular one here. This is just a normal one. And each time I level this up is going to require these memory scraps. So memory scraps are consumed. However, when you break down an item, all of them are returned, which means that people are just going to need a baseline amount of these. Now, the number of scraps you need to level up a memory does go up when the quality of the memory goes up. And so if this was like an ultimate one, this would require quite a bit more per click, and it would also require quite a bit of more clicks as well, and some other resources. As we can see here, we're going to go from 10 intelligence all the way up to 30 just from leveling this up. And that's quite impactful kind of for your build. Basically, every 10 intelligence, I believe, is 5% multiplier, just based on it being the main stat for a lot of skills. If you're not scaling on intelligence, obviously it's not going to be the same. However, it pretty much makes it so that everybody needs these. And so what we can do is we can go and either get the memories to sell them to people. We can get the memory scraps, and we just build up a whole ton of these and sell them kind of stockpile. The memory threads also sell pretty well. If you're lucky, you can find some of these memory threads, which are about 2 FE, which is some pretty nice currency for sure. So that's going to be my first recommendation. One, because if you haven't gotten your memories already set up, you're probably going to want to go and like self-find some that are pretty okay. Like I found this one by myself while I was just leveling up, going through the early part of the time marks. And it did help out quite a bit to have stuff like that. And since then, I've gone out and bought some of these. Some of these are like 80 FE, I think, in order to just buy pretty decent ones. These are definitely not like perfect end game by any stretch of imagination. However, they are, better than what I had for sure. And as you can see here too, with these higher level ones, it does also add an additional level to my trait, which is more multiplicative damage. So these are just pretty desirable. And I think they're a little bit under the radar at the moment. However, they are very, very powerful. Number 2 is just adding things to your experience here. Actually, I'm going to say number 2 is you do not want to do too high of a difficulty, right? And so for looking here at time mark 1 through 7, and in time mark 7 specifically, there are 3 different breakpoints you can do. So time mark 0 just gives you 55% of the basic number of monsters. Time mark 1 gives you just 5% multiplier on your drop quantity, and time mark 2 gives you 10%. I see a lot of people struggling, going slow in time mark 2, and if you are not basically going 1-to-1 the exact same speed in time mark 2 as you were in time mark 0, you should just be in time mark 0, because there's not really much of a drop quantity benefit, and you'll be able to go through maps so much faster here. So as you're just blasting through 7 zeros, yes, it's probably going to feel a little bit easy. The drops might not be all that great, but you should be able to like absolutely just tear through stuff in, in a way that you probably can't do in 7.2 right now, which is pretty big. And the things that I'm going to recommend that you add to your maps are some really simple stuff. So if we go here into this particular one, we can add winding keys. Now, winding keys are about half an FE per, but for 4 points, you can make it so that you have a 19% chance from bosses to drop a winding key. That's just like free money that you're just going to pick up just for killing bosses. These do allow you to get reset points for your constellations, so you might want some of these for yourself as well. And then right next to them, we also have star shards. Star shards are also half an FE, and each time you kill a boss, you're going to get one. So it's like 15, 30% there, another 20%, so 50%. So you get up to 75% chance to drop an additional star shard. And so that basically turns like every single boss into like a lot better money making than it was before. Because if each one is dropping something that is 0.5 times 1.75, that's almost 1 FE, almost guaranteed per boss you kill. So you just want to kill bosses very, very quickly. They're going to build up, and you can just sell these star shards, which are in your inventory right here. And so as we can see here, as we can see, this timemark 8, sorry. So we can see these are like 0.6 FE. And so just you can kill more and more bosses, get some of these, and it will make you money. The other stuff you can sell is things that also drop from just monsters in general. So things like these Terra reverberations. You can get quite a bit of these just by adding candle people to your maps. These things always, sell. People are always trying to run to the city of Eterna. These make a lot of money. The eyes for Mistville are pretty popular as well. And so Residence Eyes, these things are about half an FE as well. And so if you go in and add both of these mechanics by doing this left slide here, and then some of this downside stuff, and this over here, all of this is just going to add some like basic money to your map. All of the stuff here in Mistville adds either guarantee people to Mistville, adds more of the guys to Mistville, or makes it so that their eyes are more likely to duplicate. I think that those are really, really strong. I've been running Nightmare on one of my plans here, and pretty much the entire thing with Nightmare is we're basically just fishing for this card here. So Sleepwalkers have a chance to drop additional Shallow Dream Talking, and Netherrealm monsters also have a chance to drop these. These some pretty decent money, except for you have to have, basically these won't drop almost at all unless you have the card active. And so you do kind of have to like flip through quite a bit of maps sometimes in order to get them set up. And you can actually do that by, there's a button right here behind me that allows you to basically reset the cards and reset whatever your void chart is. So it makes whatever you've currently made your changes to, it'll change all of these cards over. And this is like kind of how you build it up. Now for profound talents here, I'm going up here to get more cards because I've been actually hunting for those cards for the Nightmare stuff. This does make it a little bit more difficult with 30% additional monster life, but there's a 30% chance for more cards. And then also, when the number of cards in the Confusion deck reaches 45, I get 5% drop quantity. At 55, I get another 5%. And pretty much what's that talking about is there's another button behind me that looks like cards. And this is all of your card library. And if you count all of these up, I believe we're over 55. It doesn't show my Nightmare stuff for some reason. Well, I think because I haven't reset this particular one. Maybe timemark 1 will have it. Yeah, so we can see all of the cards and stuff here that I have from time marks and other stuff. And so these are just going to generally stack up and eventually give me more quantity, which I think is pretty good. But besides that, like the things I would recommend avoiding are things like the uniques, the normal gear. Until you're like very deep into the game, these are not going to be really good for you at all. I don't think the cog wheel stuff is very good at all right now. I think it's pretty lame. We could potentially do Goddess of Hunting, especially if you're going to be focusing mostly on like boss rushing to kind of like get through the bosses as fast as possible. This does buff up boss loot a little bit. I found Cube to be a little bit underwhelming. I think maybe if you were going more towards getting more desire cores, these are like basically a boss ticket that you can sell. So like this, for example, it's about 9 FE. So if you're focusing primarily on getting bosses to drop those, it could potentially be okay. Otherwise, like the general cube stuff, I feel like all I got was like the things to help us, you know, alter our slates around a little bit. And I almost never got anything else that was good, like no FE, no legendary slates. I just kind of felt like this was underperforming for me. Likewise for compasses, I kind of feel like these are maybe good. You have to have like a lot more market knowledge in order to take advantage of this. God of Might, I think could be good if your build's very good for God of Might. I don't really play a build that's good for that. There's some uniques that are specific to that. Same thing with God of Machines. There's a couple of different ways to farm this. If you go straight down, it's more divination cards, or what they're called is fluorescent memory shards are more likely to drop off the drones. However, you get like 100%, like zero loot basically, besides the stuff that drops from drones. Then you can also ignore this bottom part and instead go and try to get like increased chance of priceless legendary gear and stuff, or just other types of gear by avoiding the drone section. And there's at least one very, very expensive body armor right now that is coming off of God of Might specifically. It's about 4,000 FE. And we can tell this comes from God of Machines, just by looking at that here. The God of Might chest, which I think is this, perhaps? Yeah, so this is the God of Might chest, also for 4,000 FE. So either of these mechanics may be something that you want to farm, maybe long term. I think that especially in Time Mark 7, you kind of want to focus more on going fast as opposed to trying to farm stuff like this. However, if you do have a build that's particularly good at doing that, might be something you would get interested in doing. Besides that, I kind of feel like you really do not want to mess around with the beacon tree. I believe that this tree is maybe bugged because I had most of it filled out and I still wasn't like really feeling I was sustaining beacons all that much. However, I did like several hours, so like 8 hours of farming, just specifically Time Mark 7.0, just having fun, doing a lot of nightmare stuff, doing some of the other stuff, and we made like 800 FE, and with that 8-hour time period, I got a lot of tier 8 beacons as well, which I could have sold, but I'm using them for myself, and I got some money from doing the seasonal mechanic as well. And the seasonal mechanic, I feel like, is something you might be sleeping on a little bit. I feel like I've actually gotten more skills from the Time Mark 7 version as opposed to the Time Mark 8. If you want to see a video explaining how to do this well, I have a whole video about that as well that I'll probably link at the very end as one of the cards here. So go check that out. Hopefully this video helps you out. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and we'll see you again soon. Have a good one.